All right, here we go. Fight stories. John Moses,
Yeah,
Tyler
baby.
Morrison, baby.
Got another awesome episode today. This is
Yeah,
one of the episodes that it's different. It's a wild card for sure,
yeah,
but
and
it also merges the
and
hockey world and
a little bit, but the guest had his moment, dude. He had his 15 minutes. He had a moment of infamy in New York City. Um, this is one of those situations, dude, where it's like you really find out the metal that you're made from, and this guy has only had one fight in his entire life.
it's the
And
fight of
this
his
was
life.
it, dude. And it's the fight of his life for his life. So I don't want to give any more away
Yeah,
because it's a great episode, but it's Joe Lozito, who stopped a subway slasher. Probably,
and he's the host of Coliseum Chronicles, the
yeah,
podcast. So he's a big New York Islanders fan. I think Gillies was talking about him on his
yeah,
episode. So
yeah. And this
you
is
want to check that
this
out.
one we really nailed early on. You can tell because like, my bad. I was looking at this episode. We didn't even have the split screen. Like I didn't even figure that out yet. It was just us
Yeah.
talking. Like it would cut to me. It would cut to you laughing. It would cut to him. It would cut to you. And like my room, you just see my room behind me, and it looks like, buddy, I look like a fucking peasant, you know?
Well, like early on in the pandemic too, we didn't know what the hell we were doing. This is all
Or
new
for how long,
technology
you know?
for us. Yeah, exactly. So we're just trying it out, and then all of a sudden, it just
Yeah,
starts to become what the podcast is right now,
right.
and you step up your game with the production value and the look of it. I mean, I look like I'm doing a hostage video in Iran.
Or a white snake video. Wow. Um, so Tyler has a new part-time job that he can talk about. He is a full-time gambler now. And
Got the taste. Yeah, I got a buddy. Shout out to Trevor Crane. Trevor Crane. I met him
the inside man.
through one of our other guests, through Corey McDonald, the prison guard who was on season 2,
Yeah,
and I was partying with those guys. But Trevor was telling me about how he's had some good luck gambling on golf, and he picked some winners.
buddy,
And
that
so he
is
was
a
telling me how much.
super gambling addict right there, dude. When you start finding golf, like I talk to you and you're like, yeah, but I got to get up for these soccer games. Like you're in it, dude. It doesn't even take
Oh
you that
man.
long, and you're in it.
Yeah, well, so I just follow this guy's picks. I don't know anything. I just trust what he's doing because he's
Right.
obviously had some results, and I
Yeah.
won $1,000 on Patty Reed, and I love that Patty Reed was caught cheating. I don't know if you saw it, but he got caught cheating in the tournament, and everyone was freaking out on Twitter. It was very obvious. Somehow he got away with it, but
Was this
I'm like, oh
after
my
you
god.
had already got paid out that he got caught cheating?
No, it's before, so I was sweating it.
Ooh.
Like, are the wheels gonna fall off? But I'm also really hyped that got my guys willing to cheat to win.
Yeah.
I feel like
You're
he's
like, if
working
I'm
for
gonna
me.
die, this is the guy I want to die with, you know?
Yeah, I feel like I'm his caddy when I'm in this situation.
So
Yeah,
that's
so
cool.
he got away with it, and he pulled off the win, and then yeah, it was nice. Super Bowl obviously just went down. The
So you made some money on
Brady,
that?
yeah, I pulled about 375 out of that one, which is
So how
nice
did you
too.
what did you bet?
Honestly, I just bet 100. What did I bet? 150 on the main line for the Bucks to win. Just
Right.
kept it simple. I just had, I've been watching football a year. Brady and the boys have been very consistent. The fact that they beat Green Bay, who has a great offense, and
Right.
they've been deadly all year. The fact that they were able to shut them down, plus Brady's got so many options for throwing to. I mean, Gronkowski, I don't think he had a touchdown in like 9 games.
Fucking
And then
right,
he's
dude.
getting 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl.
Fucking
That's one
right.
of your when
Right. To
Gronk
go
is an
all
option.
time to go all time playoff duo too, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that was so sick. I love
Yeah.
Gronk, but it was also really
Oh,
telling
Gronk's
of
great.
how the depth of their offense when Gronk hasn't got a touchdown in 9 games and they're in the dance, and
Yep.
then he's getting two.
Right. Yeah,
Unbelievable.
that's a lot of options. Gronk always looks to me like he's a fucking video game running in slow motion compared to everybody else, but somehow still is fast or faster than
Yeah, he just
most. You know
knows
what I
where to
mean?
go.
Like he's got like a weird fucking stride where he doesn't look like he's going fast, but clearly he's fucking motoring, you know?
Hmm. Probably because he's got long legs,
Uh,
so he's just making up ground. He doesn't have to
yeah, he's just a
take
big
as many
galoot.
strides to get where he needs to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we need to find some football fighters, like actual football brawls,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
on
yeah.
the field. Guys who've been in some off.
Oh,
I mean,
we
imagine
need some
getting Lawrence
necessary
Taylor.
roughness. Fucking chicks
Yeah,
getting thrown
yeah.
through the drywall.
Oh man,
Yeah.
what's your favorite football movie? What's your favorite football movie?
Oh man, that's a good question. I probably it's either necessary roughness or um fucking Jerry Maguire, dude.
Yeah,
Because Rod Tidswell was so fucking hilarious. Cuba Gooding was awesome in that movie, you know.
yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah. What about you?
My favorite football movie, hands down, The Program with James
Oh yeah.
Caan. That was a
Yeah.
sick movie.
Yeah.
Love The Program. Latimer painting his face up
Yeah. Who was the one
like a skull.
was chucking the chick around the hotel room? Was that the program? Where he's like, "Yo,
Yeah,
man,
that's Latimer.
get him out of here!" Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it was like a college party. It wasn't at a hotel,
oh yeah,
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 he got a little carried away there.
yeah. No means yes. Football's a game of inches, baby. So, so I went to go and bet on it, and even though I'm a big Brady fan, I was like, man, I just think Kansas is gonna win, and I would have bet on Kansas because FanDuel was like bet $5 win 250, but I just couldn't figure out the app like a fumbling idiot, and
Yeah.
then they ended up losing anyway. So, you know, just goes to show how bad I am at gambling. Even when my team wins, I can't fucking win. You know?
Yeah, it just falls apart in your hands.
Oh yeah,
Technology's a bitch.
yeah, yeah.
So what else is going on? I don't know if you guys heard this. Legendary boxer Leon Spinks, he passed away. Rest in peace, Spinks. I'm pretty sure he took the title from Muhammad Ali, which
Right.
is huge. I mean, it was
Yeah.
later in his career, Ali, but
Yeah, you got to pass.
nonetheless,
Yeah.
yeah. And that was a little interesting story about Leon Spinks is while he was the champion of the world, his bodyguard was Mr. T.
Oh,
Mr. T was the bodyguard, and
interesting.
there's one story from Mr. T's book, The Man with the Gold.
Yeah.
Great book. If you ever can find this book, it's a sweet read. And Mr. T talks about how there was just a huge brawl with the crowd, and they're just punching people. It's basically a riot.
Wow.
And it's Leon Spinks when T was his bodyguard. So
And
that's
those guys are punching crowd members,
yeah. Well,
just leaving a
Mr. T
trail
is
of
for sure.
bodies. Mr. T is right.
Mr. T is the top bouncer in America. Won
Yeah.
84 bounce off. NBC. That's how he's just how they discovered him. He was on that NBC show. I think it was America's Top Bouncer or something like that, or
Fucking
84 bounce off.
1984 reality TV trash.
Yeah, just yeah. Well, there's Leanne Mladen who's been on our podcast. She's going to be on this season. She has a bit on her new album actually about that and how they actually had midget tossing.
In the
Like
wild
that
world
was
of
actually
sports, right?
that was part of the bouncing, like the bouncer competitions. Just you could toss
Like, when
midgets.
would you ever need that? You know, as a bouncer, like this little fucker again, and just chucking him out the front door.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yep. So check out her album that's coming out
Yeah, cool.
on Cottage Comedy Digital.
Oh
So
yeah, another cottage comedy
late to
killer.
the party. Yeah,
Um,
man. So that's
well,
rest in peace, Leon Spinks.
rest in peace, Spinksy. All right,
What
so
else is going on?
let's do this reaction video. I just thought of it now,
Here?
where it's like, dude, we got the guy that fought the fucking that killed or neutralized the subway slasher. I should have had a subway fight, but I got a classic McDonald's beatdown here.
Okay.
The Sun, it's from the Sun, but I think it's like the Sun in England. It looks like it might be a U.S. fight, but the Sun in England, it's not Toronto. The Sun's like a real rag, and
Yep.
put out a lot of trash. And you know I love trash, so let me know when you're there. It's a McDonald's worker
Is it this
batters customer.
battles? I got it.
Yeah. No.
Oh my god. I've seen this.
It's so great.
Oh yeah, titty falling out.
Oh, the titties out, dude. I love a titty out brawl, man.
Titty out in McDonald's. Oh, now the girl working there's
Giving
conning
it
her.
to her, yeah.
They're both workers, right?
Yeah, yeah. Where is this McDonald's, dude? He's like, no, stop. Then she starts giving it to her. You know that, when you're breaking up a fight, you're like, come on, stop. But you're just like waiting. You got the right fucking fired up, ready to go. That's what that chick was. She was just ready to jump in,
Oh yeah, you know who those two girls working in the McDonald's look like? They look like the Big Boss Man and Akeem the African Dream.
Yo, that chick does look like a big boss man.
Yeah, what
Oh
was it?
god.
What was their name? I forget what their tag team name
Oh, that's
was.
right. Dude, the thing
Yeah,
is,
that was
if this was like two dudes, you would be pissed at the big guy for fucking wailing on a little guy like that. You know what I mean? You'd be like, look at this fucking bully piece of shit. But all of that
yeah,
weight class shit is out the window when it's two chicks fighting.
I love it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's almost, this is sexist, and I'm gonna say it. It's almost like the bigger chick who's not as good looking. You feel like, even though it's like
She's
a
the
mismatch,
dude, exactly.
she's
She is the underdog, dude.
she's the underdog because she's getting her revenge on like a hot chick.
Dude, 100%. She has been bullied her whole fucking life. And when
Yeah,
she was in high school, these little hot bitches were like, blah, 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 blah. And she didn't know that she could fucking take her hand and fucking whack them
yeah,
over. You know what I mean?
exactly. Just pound her into the earth. Yeah,
Out there.
and you're totally feeling that when you're watching a fight like that. You're like,
Dude,
oh
you're
yeah,
exactly right, dude. It is like connecting to that underdog part of your, like, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. And it's, maybe it's not right to say, but this is the podcast to say it.
No, I think it's, I don't even know who would argue with that. The
Maybe,
question
yeah.
is,
I mean,
if a
but I just
guy
mean,
that size fought
yep,
her with no fighting experience, would she murk that guy too?
a guy.
The same, a guy the same size of the chick that was getting whipped, and she was getting whipped around. If a guy that didn't have much fighting experience or any fought a girl that size, the same woman, would
Yeah,
he also get dusted up, or would he do all right?
she's the female version of Lenny from Of Mice and Men.
Yeah.
I
It's
think,
just a
yeah.
pile of dead buddies in the back.
I think a little pipsqueak dude trying to go against a big girl like that, he's gonna
Oh
take his
man,
just desserts. There's
I
no
would
way.
love to see that. I would.
Yeah, there's no
Fucking love it.
way. There's no way a guy who can't fight or who hasn't fought much, that is not very big, can. Yeah, because also the way she's fighting in that is pure rage.
Oh yeah.
She
No, she's
knows.
letting, dude. She is letting out, 30 years
Yeah,
of getting shut down, of getting bullied, of getting picked on. I mean, she was giving
she
it,
works at McDonald's,
and she works at McDonald's.
she's got to take your shit. I don't think so.
Dude. And you're gonna disrespect her mother on top of that.
Yeah,
When you're a woman that size, I always think like a chick that size, her brother's probably a linebacker in the NFL.
yeah,
but
Oh,
she's just
totally.
suffering from those genetics. You know, like he's got all-star fucking genetics, and she's got fucking night shift manager at McDonald's, just fucking
Yeah.
life of the shit end of the stick genetics.
Keep her on the late shift. Keep her on the late Listen, this one's not easy on the eyes. We're gonna have to put her on nights.
What about drive-through? But a feeder at the drive-through.
I'm, I'm scared now that I said that. I hope she's not listening.
Yeah, imagine she's at the back of the
Comes and
shed.
torques us up. The Sunshine Boys walking around with
Just see my
Irish
head
sunglasses.
getting fucking wiped at the counter. Oh, that'd be the best.
Oh man, I love the danger of like a late night fast food joint. Like
Yeah,
McDonald's in Ottawa is brutal. McDonald's in Toronto, I mean any city probably
right.
late night. It's just always
I wasn't even looking for that fight. I was looking for a fight where the guy came and fucking smashed the guy behind the counter, and the guy from behind the counter got out and whipped his fucking ass, dude.
oh we gotta find that
I
soon.
know, and he got fired. He got fired and everything, and it was like he
Unreal.
was totally defending himself, you know?
Yeah, you shouldn't get fired. If someone attacks you at work, you should be allowed to
Fucking right, dude.
smoke that person.
Fucking right. And set an
Oh.
example for the rest of these fucking clowns who are out there about to fuck with you because they're drunk, you know?
Also, I gotta say this. I love that big girl. I love that big girl. I'll tell you why.
Hell yeah.
Because how many times has there just been a chick like the one that was on the receiving end of that beating
Yeah.
who's just flapping her gums at you like
Yeah.
just feeling untouchable,
No repercussions.
invincible. A guy will not hit me,
Right.
and you don't hit women. That's not the thing. But I feel like that is the beating that she
Oh
earned.
yeah.
That was an earned beating. Like imagine how many men she's talked to like that because she knows that the guy can't hit him
Yeah.
or can't hit her. Well, this is her opponent there. That's a guy beating.
Yeah.
She got a beating from a man in a woman's body.
But you know what? You got to give her credit. Unless there was a mild concussion at the end, she still talked shit after getting tossed around like that. It reminded me of the Genovese. John Moses, all that kicking and
Grimes. That was, you know what that was? That was a supersized beating.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
All right, what do you say? What do you say we get into this episode?
Yeah, for sure. Before we go though, we gotta hype up our sponsor, UncleRonnie'sTeabag.com. Go over to UncleRonnie'sTeabag.com. Check out all of our fight stories merch. We got the new fight story shirts with Trevor Gillies, the cross contamination.
The cross contaminated.
Punches aren't vitamins.
Punches aren't vitamins with the skull looking lethal. Check that out. Obviously, if you're a hockey fight fan, you're gonna love it.
Yeah, and we got shirts with our logos as well. Also, check this out. I got one more of these. Hit us up on social media. If you want one of these, you're gonna have to come through PayPal or some shit. I got one more. It's in a large. And these are sweet, like, the warmest and most comfortable hoodie. I got one left for one of you fucking pricks.
What are you good time boys?
Yeah, these are, this is the last of the run. So get on that shit if you want.
Right. And I don't even think we have any hoodies right now that we're pushing. It's all t-shirts. So
yeah.
So there it is, boys.
We'll get some hoodies out soon, but this is the last of the run.
Out, but
one left. So someone's got to step up, be a step up Stevie and get on that shit. And go to UncleRonnie'sTeabag.com.
Yeah.
Thanks to Ronnie for sponsoring us.
Thanks, Unc.
Thanks, Unky.
All right, so this episode, Joe Lozito, the local hero, man, New York City hero, dude, for a week. That guy was the fucking tits.
And pure class, just a beauty.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great guest.
Yeah.
Very excited I was so excited to have him on and excited to present this episode to you guys. I think it's been 10 years since the incident. I think it was the anniversary. You might have to,
dude. And I was living in New York at the time, dude, and it was, I remember this story explicitly.
Amazing. Well, guys, we're not going to fucking jerk each other off much longer. Let's get right into it.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Lozito.
John Moses, Tyler Morris, and welcome to another episode of Fight Stories, the Zoom Files. We're talking with Joseph Lozito. I said that right, Joe?
Yeah, he just called me Joe. But yeah,
Right,
last
right.
name's perfect, and just Joe.
Joe Lozito. Joe was infamous for taking down a subway slasher in New York 9 years ago. I remember living in Brooklyn at the time. I'm in Jersey now, but living in Brooklyn, and I read the Daily News every morning. Like, that was my ritual. And reading that story and thinking, man, this guy is a fucking lunatic. I was talking about you, dude.
Yeah,
Not even
yeah.
the slasher.
Not the slasher.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
right,
goes
yeah.
without saying, right?
Yeah. No,
Because that's always a nightmare.
I was part of that news cycle for, for a couple of weeks. Well, maybe a week and a half. And then I wasn't part of it again until like a year later. But yeah, that was a pretty wild episode. It's always interesting for me to hear people who, like you say, you were there in Brooklyn, which is where he was from and where everybody that he attacked was, except for me. So I'm always interested in hearing like what you guys were thinking, because, you're in Brooklyn at the time and nobody knows where this guy is, and all he's doing is going around killing people. So that always fascinates me.
It's John Moses' Summer of Sam.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because, John, because for those 28 hours, like, I guess it was not, I don't want to say horrifying, but especially if if you're someone that, worries about that stuff, it had to be a little nerve wracking. No?
Well, I mean, so much crazy shit happens in New York all the time. Listen, the some subway slasher guy, is less the story than a guy fucking taking him down. Because the slashers happen all the time.
Yeah, it's true.
And
it's gonna happen a lot more nowadays.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Yeah.
It's funny because and everybody has that moment. Like everybody's doing the Mark Wahlberg 9/11 Monday morning quarterback. Like, if I was on that fucking train. But truthfully, dude, you'd be like, what the fuck would I do? That is actually one of my worst nightmares, is to have some fucking maniac on the train with a knife confront you,
After it happened, I had a lot of people say, "Oh, if I were you, I would have done the exact same thing. I would have done this. I would have done that." And I basically said, "You're better than I am, because if you had asked me the day before what I would do, I would have said I have no fucking idea. I would have hoped I would have done what I did, but you can never. I mean, unless like I've always said, like, even if you train in boxing or MMA or something like that, unless you actually train in like tactical warfare or whatever that is, you can't prepare for something like that. So in a way, it was better for me that I was definitely caught by surprise. I didn't really have time to think.
Right.
And for our listeners who are,
I was just about to say, we could go ahead, sum it up, Tyler, because we kind of launched right into it.
For our listeners that aren't familiar with the story, give us the rundown, like the play-by-play, how this thing.
Well, hold on. Let me give you first what had happened. I'll read an old ABC article. Joseph Lozito, Joe, as we've come to know him, the man being dubbed a hero for helping disarm and capture a New York man accused of going on a 28-hour stabbing spree. So this guy had killed 3 or 4 other people, his girlfriend, an in-law, some rando, and then, you were next. And it sounded like the cops were sort of closing in on him as he got onto your train and was pounding on the subway car trying to get in.
Yeah. So basically, I'll just take it from the subway. I'll take it from going to the subway. So I got on the subway, and like, if
let me ask you a question. What were you doing in New York that day?
Well, I was living in Philadelphia at the time, but I work in New York City. I still work in New York City.
Oh,
I was commuting because I love Philadelphia, but
and you can get a house for $1.
Yeah, But I have a pretty good job in New York. So
you commute from fucking Philly. Let's talk about that, dude. You're a lunatic twice over.
Well, not, you know,
from Philly to New York.
Well, here's the deal. I moved to Philadelphia. For anyone that collects sports cards, I used to work for Fleer, the trading card company.
Oh yeah.
That's what originally brought us down to Philadelphia. So, and I really took a liking to the city. I know a lot of people shit on it and sports fans shit on it, but
I really like Philly, man.
I love Philadelphia.
But that commute's a fucking monster.
Yeah, it sucked. It was 2.5 hours each way. And what was happening was I was missing a lot of my kids' stuff, like ball games or different things. And after a while, it was getting too much. And then after everything happened on the subway, that was kind of the icing on the cake. And shortly thereafter, we came back to Long Island.
2.5 hours each way. There's probably a couple times where you're on the subway, like, somebody kill me, please.
Well, not on the subway, but on the LIRR, not the railroad, on SEPTA or Jersey Transit, probably.
Yeah.
How many trains is that from Philly to New York?
Well, most of the time it was just two, because the SEPTA, the transit in Philadelphia, I used to think was the worst. I forgot how bad the railroad was here. So most of the time I would drive into Jersey and jump on Jersey Transit, and that takes me right to Penn, and then just jump on the subway. So
that's still so fucking insane, that commute.
Yeah, you know, it's tough because I love Philadelphia. I didn't really want to come back to New York, but it was the best thing for us after everything happened.
Sure. I love Philly. Philly's like, Philly's a real tough town. Everybody's got hands in Philly.
Yeah.
And there really is like a it's kind of like where a little, for me anyway, as somebody who's just like going in and out, it's almost, I don't want to say post-racial, but you get a real good mix of black and white, blue collar, working class people that just don't seem to be separated by race the same way as you see in other places. You know?
Yeah, and for me, it reminded me a lot of Queens. I grew up in Queens.
Right.
So the part of the city that we lived in the Northeast, it reminded me a lot of where I grew up. And I loved it to this day. I love it. Any chance I get to go back down there, I do, because I miss Wawa terribly.
Oh, I love a Wawa.
Yeah, I love it.
Top 10 reasons I moved to Jersey.
Yeah, it's probably one of the few good things about Jersey.
Well, you don't like tolls?
Yeah. Where are you in Jersey again?
I'm in Red Bank, Monmouth County.
Oh, okay.
So pretty close to the shore.
Yeah, that's not too bad. It's not like you're in Trenton or anything.
Yeah. So, okay, I thought maybe you were going into town for a game that day or something because you're a Flyers fan. But okay, so you're.
Oh, I'm an Islanders fan, by the way.
Oh, right. I saw your kids in Flyers shirts.
Yeah, back in the day, you know, they grew up there, and it was important for me not to push. My wife is a monster sports fan too. We actually met at an Islanders game, but it was important. Cool. Yeah, it was important for me not to push our teams on them. So we kind of let them decide who they wanted to root for. And my oldest boy, Joey, he kind of gravitated towards the Philadelphia teams. And when he was little, my youngest son, Dominic, was more of a mama's boy. So he kind of gravitated towards whomever my wife rooted for.
Okay.
So, but now I think they kind of, even though Joe will still say he likes the Philadelphia teams, you know, if there's an Islanders game on in the house, he'll watch it. But, you know, back then, we wanted him to stay loyal to the Philly teams.
Yeah. You don't want to be that kid in classes like in Toronto growing up. There's always one kid with the Montreal Canadiens jersey. Like, we like the Canadiens.
Exactly.
Like,
well, you know what the funny, there's still a lot of, you know, down there, and a funny story. When we first moved down there, my wife is a rabid Yankees fan. So I think it was exhibition game. It wasn't even like interleague game, whatever. It was like an exhibition game.
Right.
And my wife is like, we're going to the game, and she's wearing her Derek Jeter shirt, whatever. And while we're driving the car, she goes, "Man, do you think, you know, I'm going to get shit for wearing this?" And we get in there, and half the place is Yankees fans. So it's like, you know,
lucky.
Cool.
Yeah. So I'm just like, what? I mean, I'm a Braves fan, so I really didn't give a shit. But but I was like, down there, you know, it's the fans.
Yeah, but still, your wife's wearing a Jeter's, you know, shirt. She gets a beer over her head.
Yeah,
you gotta step up.
It's not like, oh, for sure, but it's not like she's wearing a Troy Aikman jersey to an Eagles game. That's a little bit different.
Yeah. I've always been weary. I have yet to go to a Leafs Flyers game. I've been to a Leafs Islanders, Leafs Rangers, Leafs Devils. And Philly's like the next step, and I haven't been there, but I've always been a little weary wearing the jersey because I hear that their fans are just such animals.
Nah, you know what? They're good fans, and I don't. You're not going to be alone. I mean, you're a Leafs fan, so you've been to these arenas. When you go to a game, there's even Coliseum. There's a ton of Leafs fans everywhere they go.
Right.
So, listen, you're always going to get a small percentage of assholes that are going to chirp at you and everything. But
oh yeah,
go there and enjoy it.
Well, they're usually sitting right beside me, so because they're my boys.
yeah, exactly. But I think you'd be okay. Let me know when you're going down. Maybe I'll meet you down there.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I'll definitely call you for the Islanders game. Ty, maybe next time, maybe we can swing it somehow.
Yeah, next time when
we're recording a round, we'll plan it around the Leaf game and go see one in the Nassau Coliseum now that they're playing back there.
Yeah,
I used to love going to the Nassau Coliseum because it was so cheap.
Mm-hmm.
For $22, you could sit 10 rows off the ice. I mean, to me as a Leaf fan, that blew my mind. It was cheaper for my brother to fly from Toronto and watch the game than it would have been to buy the same ticket in the Garden.
Yeah. That's that. Like for my wife and I, that's our home away from home. I moved to Long Island right after the Cup years, and so I moved there. I moved to maybe 4 towns over, and I spent so much time there waiting at the hotel for the road teams coming in, meeting the enforcers of the other teams, and going to morning skates and stuff. So that's like my home away from home. And
really? Yeah, really.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, you're a super fan.
Yeah, I mean, not as much as I used to be, but with the way the game is now, but definitely, definitely a fight nerd for sure.
Yeah, I had buddies that used to go to the Garden and try and hang out and like hang by the doors and try and get autographs and stuff like that. But it sounds like you working at the card shop, you meeting these. It sounds like that you were kind of living that life.
Well, you don't want to hang out at the Garden too long if you're a little boy.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was easy because there was always a group of people. The way it's situated here on the island, the hotel and the Coliseum are basically connected. They're they're separated by a parking lot.
Yeah,
so
that dump.
Yeah, so even if there were 40 people waiting for the guys, 38 of them were waiting for the star player, and here I'm waiting for Tony Twist or Darren Kimball or something like that. And nobody wanted to talk to those guys. So I had all the opportunity.
And they're just happy to have a fan. Yeah.
No, and they were, and you know what? Like you've had Kimby on, I think, right? And, so they're just, they're just great guys. So like you shit with them and like you get to know them. And next time they come in, it's like, oh, come on, we'll grab breakfast or whatever. And it's just fucking great. So, it has its advantages not being a star fucker, I guess, and worrying about the top scorers on the team.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, and we are totally away from the subject. But that's okay. No, but that's okay. That's okay because I've actually wanted to talk about it. Yeah. So, were you a scrappy kid growing up, or just this big fucking dude?
John, I can't emphasize enough. I'm going to say something here that might break my mother's heart because she kept telling me different. I was the fat kid who she called Husky. I was the fat introverted kid that got bullied.
Okay.
Which I think is usually the story, but no, I not so much bullied on a daily basis, but there were periods of time in my life where I was bullied. And I'll tell you a funny story.
Where you wish somebody would stab you on a train?
Yeah, exactly. Like I thought I shook that, but apparently not. Just to talk about how times have changed. So this is it had to be, I don't know, 78, 79, and I'm a kid and these 3 kids on the block. I was one of the younger kids on the block, but they were older and they were kind of pushing me around or whatever. And I ended up with like a bruise on my leg. And my dad saw it, and my dad is old school Guinea, from Italy, straight off the boat, Vietnam, wounded, right? Like doesn't take any shit. So we saw it. He's like, okay, fuck, let's go. So we go to an old store called TSS Times Square. It's kind of like a department store, and he buys me this red Adirondack baseball bat, right? And we go home, and he says, anybody touches you ever again, you hit them with this and then come and tell me and I'll handle it. And I'm like 9 years old going, what is going on here, right? So thankfully, after that, he
It's
went
like
down
a fucking Bronx Tale. You're like,
yeah,
what?
yeah, and thankfully after that, when he went down to talk to the parents, everything kind of settled itself down, and I just had a baseball bat to play ball with. But
Oh
for a moment, I was like, Jesus, I'm gonna fucking name someone here, and it's gonna be okay because my dad said so. But
yeah, and you're still thinking through it. Your dad's like just barfing out post-traumatic stress to a 9-year-old, like, you fucking kill him.
well, it's funny, funny thing, like my dad is my dad, and he's not as big as I am, but he was always kind of like an average sized guy, but he was always, it never worked out, but he always was shredded, like just that kind of, he always worked with his hands, old school.
Yeah.
And maybe like 7, 8, 9 years ago, I was at a block party, and I was talking to some of my old neighbors from the old neighborhood, and we were talking, and my dad came up, and he goes, "Oh, your dad was fucking crazy." And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "Oh my God, I have so many stories I could tell you about your dad." And he told me a couple, and I remember telling my dad, and my dad's like, so wow.
He didn't even want to. He didn't even want to like. He didn't go like, "Yeah, tell me, go."
Well, but it's the same old story now. Like my dad, strict disciplinarian. I was afraid to say boo. Right. Yeah. I mean, I told the line, like I didn't want to ever get in trouble because when he started cursing, it was bad, and when he started cursing in Italian, that was the time to hide.
Right. The belt busted out.
Right. So I tell my kids, "Oh, if Poppy's this, Poppy that." Meanwhile, he's like the big cuddly teddy bear right now. I say, "Oh yeah, Joey did this, Dominic did that," and he'd be like, just let him go. I'm like, "Who are you?" I'm like,
yeah. Meanwhile, you're fucking hanging from a belt in your closet.
Oh my, I'm like, Jesus, who are you?
But catching a beating in 2 languages.
Yeah. No, look, I'm talking about my dad a lot. My dad's a good man, and he taught me discipline, and I wouldn't change anything for the world. I always like to say I am who I am today because of my parents. So
at what point do you start sort of standing up for yourself?
It wasn't really an incident. I think it was just more of a mindset, and I think it was in high school, probably 11th or 12th grade, and I don't know, maybe I just had an epiphany one day, just like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, of course, never thinking, well, you could get stabbed 7 times. But like, I'm thinking, like, what's the worst that can happen? If someone wants to start shit, you get in a fight. And if you get your ass kicked, so be it. But, like, you stand up for yourself. And nothing, like I said, nothing ever really happened. But I think it just hit me one day. And So
from that point, did you get your ass kicked a couple times and feel like that wasn't so bad, or?
No, you know what? I swear to God, outside of the subway or a few games of deck hockey here on the island, I've never been in a fight.
Wow.
Believe it or not, never been.
Wow.
Now, there's been times, trust me, there's been times probably at hockey games. My wife tends to be a bit vocal. And, if someone says shit, she's going to say shit back. And then I have to push her aside and go, okay, stand behind me now.
Yeah.
But she's a tough broad. But no, I'm never really had too many fights. Like I said, I think I've had.
That makes the whole fucking situation on the subway so much more crazy to me because at least if you've had, 10, 15 fights under your belt, while it's happening, you can think on your feet a little bit. You know what I mean? You're like, okay, this is happening. You're not like in straight panic mode.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys call deck hockey up in Canada, where you
floor hockey.
Yeah, floor hockey. Like you're
right.
So and it's full cages. So if I had 2 or 3 fights,
that part's a little GAY, but anyway.
Well, no, yeah, but what I'm saying is, in those fights, you're spending 90% of the fight trying to get the guy's helmet off. You're trying to do that and not break your fingers.
Right. Yeah.
So even though, like I say, I may have been in like 2 or 3 of those, what were they really? Like you're trying to get the guy's helmet off and then hit him in the face with it, but they weren't much. It's not like I'm Bob Probert there. It really was. It probably ended up just being a wrestling match or who can twist each other's necks. So I almost don't even really count those. I've had a lot of near misses, but really not much before the subway.
Wow. All right. So let's jump into the subway.
So I get on the subway at Penn Station, and usually, for those of you who've never been on the subway, you get on the subway, the doors close and it moves. I got on the subway, doors stayed open. It's weird, but it happens. Next thing I know,
you figure it's some drunk passed out in the doorway or something.
Of course. So next thing I know, these 2 cops come in, And usually when the cops get on the subway, they stay in the park with the people. But this day they went in with the engineer, which again is weird. I've never seen that before. But it's a Saturday morning after a long Friday night. Who the hell knows what's going on? So they go in with the engineer, and now the subway starts moving, but it's crawling, like literally crawling. Like, let's say someone strong like Tyler is in the back of the subway just pushing it with his might and everything. Yeah. It was super fucking slow. So now I'm kind of going, something's not right here. And next thing I know, this guy comes up, and like where I'm sitting right now, here would be the door for the engineer. So the door is right here. And he comes up to the door and he starts banging on the door. And he says, "Let me in." So he doesn't know the cops are on the other side of the door. He thinks he's just talking to the engineer. But the cop says, "Who are you?" And this guy says, "I'm the police." So the cop says, "You're not the police." And nothing happens. The guy turns around, he goes and sits down. Wow. So now I'm going, oh, that guy's probably just shit hammered from last night, whatever, just fucked up, you know?
Right.
Next to me was this guy. After that first guy left, this guy comes running over to the door. Now he looks like he's scared to death, and he's patting on the window, trying to be as discreet as possible, mind you. Patting on the window, waving for them to come out, patting, and like.
So he recognizes the guy.
I'm the only one on the train, I think, that doesn't know who this guy is, but he definitely recognized him. And
did you know there was a slasher happening, though?
I had no clue.
Okay.
Because that news cycle hadn't reached Philadelphia yet. So I think I'm the only one. I'm probably the only one in New York City who doesn't know who this guy is, right? So this guy's, tapping on the window, trying to get the cops to come out. And they're not even, it's like I think they shit themselves, so they didn't do anything. So the first guy starts to come back, and the second guy runs and stands right next to me. So the first guy comes back. He's about 2 feet from me, about 3 feet from the door. He looks down at me. He reaches into his jacket. He takes out this 8-inch knife and says to me, "You're going to die. You're going to die." And right in the face, right here. He got me.
Holy shit.
So, okay. So now I guess we're in a fight. So I like the whole like mixed martial arts and UFC thing became a story because I said I'd never trained before. But I had watched it since UFC 1, and I guess instinctively what I was trying to do is go for a single leg takedown. But because I've never trained before, and I basically became a football tackle. So I kind of, instead of going low for his leg, I ended up around his waist.
Oh, yeah, just face full of this guy's dick.
Right, exactly. So, which I found out later isn't a good thing, by the way. So I take him down. Like, he went down. But while I'm taking him down is when he's stabbing me in the head. So he's got, so all those, it's exactly right. All the pictures that you may have seen.
Yeah, you were stapled up.
In my head, those all happened while I was taking him down. But he's so hopped up on whatever drugs it is. I take him down. He's on his back, still flailing away like he's not feeling anything.
Yeah.
So I'm on top of him. I have like dominant position. And he's flailing up at me, and I'm trying to catch his wrist. And the first time he does it, I miss, and he slices me in the thumb. Second time he does it, I miss, and he slices me in the tricep.
Thank God he didn't stab for your eye.
Well, thank God he didn't stab me in the eye, this eye especially, because this eye sucks. But the bigger thank God is when he was stabbing me in the head that he didn't stab me in like my spinal cord.
Yeah.
Then I'd be dead. So finally, the third time that he tried to stab me, I caught his wrist, I slammed it down, he dropped the knife, and then, and only then, or when the police finally came out and tapped me on the shoulder and said, "You can get up now, we got him," while the blood is pouring out of me at a crazy pace.
Chicken shit motherfuckers. Meanwhile,
they were defunded.
Well, meanwhile, I don't know how deep you want to get into this, but
meanwhile, if he was a black dude, they'd be tripping over each other trying to get the clean shot.
Yeah, I mean, well, they were both of the cops were black. It was a black dude, bigger than me, by the way, and a black lady who was beyond useless.
Yeah. Well, I want to go on the record here. You know, I'm all about equality, but female cops are useless. Okay.
Well, hey, you want to hear something funny? My sister is a retired NYPD cop, and I gave her shit all the time. And I said, look, go on YouTube and watch videos of female cops try to take down these guys.
You should be patting down chicks at a TSA line.
Yeah, I mean, really, like, like I go and like my sister, she gets me, and you know, of course, thank God she's retired now. I hate for her to be a city cop now, but I go, I've seen way too many videos of a guy carrying 2 women cops like 20 yards until the male cop gets there, and whatever. But I mean, listen, I know people are going to think I'm sexist, and I'm not, but
get the fuck out of here, dude. Sometimes it just is what it is.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You know,
our channel. I was looking at the analytics. 100% guys.
Okay. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like the same thing with like the fire department. Like, you know, where you get they give you a break if you're like a woman, you get like a certain break, and I'm like, if I just need to know that the person can carry me down a ladder. I don't care what their gender is, but I don't want someone up there that got like special dispensation because they're a lady and they can't carry me down the ladder.
Damn right.
So, but yeah, no, the dumbest cop ever is the lady cop that was on the train that day, and the most coward cop ever was the male cop on the train with me that day.
Right. So, and we'll get back to that. We'll get to that in a second, but I just want to know. So, from the first time he stabs you in the face till the time you tackle him, and then till you knock the knife out of his hand, how long do you think that whole thing is? 25 seconds?
Yeah, maybe 40 seconds, 45. Like, it always takes me longer to tell the story. Yeah, it's very quick if you think about it, because, you know, his whole agenda was to kill me, and my whole agenda was to get the knife away from him. So one of us, it was like the irresistible force and the immovable object. One of us had to get the job done, and fortunately it was me.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's racing through your mind? So he stabs you in the face, and like, does anything even go through your mind, or is it just like you just reacted?
When in the middle of the fight, there was nothing going through my mind except get the knife away from him, because I give him credit for one thing. He was honest with me. He was trying to kill me, and when I saw that knife up close, I knew it was legit. And so during the actual fight, no, it was just get the knife away from him. But then what happened was, someone pulled the emergency brake. So we were stuck in the tunnel between Penn Station.
You never pull the fucking emergency brake. You never pull it.
We're in the tunnel.
Let it get to the next stop.
Exactly. We're in the tunnel now between Penn Station and 42nd Street, and I'm sitting on the subway now, and the blood is just pouring down both sides of my neck here, and I am starting to think I'm gonna die.
Maybe you're gonna bleed out, right?
Yeah, and that's when I started thinking of my family, and that's when it started to affect me, and it really, that's when I started thinking about it, like, you know, am I going to see my wife again? Am I going to see my kids again? And I started to freak out a little bit. But during the fight, no, it was just get the knife away from him.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing, like the reaction, especially given that you had like no prior experience in anything. It was just great fight or flight, and you choose fight. You know,
no other civilians tried to intervene, or like
no, they were too busy trying to get into the other car. No, and I make a joke about it, but I mean, honestly, like what we were talking about, where, you know, people say, I would have done this, I would have done that. Like, if that's happening in front of you, I don't know how you react. And I think half the car went into the next car, and half the car kind of just stayed in the other half of this car. And eventually, a guy named Alfred Douglas, who I say is the hero, he's the one that came over and basically just put his hand on my deepest wound and tried to stem the bleeding a little bit. But no, as far as getting in the physical altercation, nobody did. And I don't know if I could blame them for that.
Yeah.
And especially because they all knew who he was. Like, they knew, they knew he had killed 4 people the day before. I'm the only one who did. I'm probably the only one who didn't know. So if you're in that situation where you're on a train and you see a guy that you know killed 4 people, and now shit happens, you might not be willing to jump in anyway.
Yeah. Truthfully, the backstory might actually keep them from reacting if they didn't know if they didn't know what was going on. They might have been like, "Oh, help him," but now they're like, "This guy's a mad." You know, who knows what fear has sort of how fear has paralyzed them in the seconds leading up to it. You know?
Yeah, I don't blame anyone I don't blame any of the passengers for anything. Like I said, there were 2 people on the train that day with a job to do. They were on that train specifically to arrest the guy.
And they fucking knew who was on the other side of the door, man.
I always say, like, if you're a cop and you're a good cop, I guess the whole thing in your career is maybe you want to make that career defining arrest.
Right.
And here's a guy, a multi, spree killer, and he's handing himself over to you on a silver platter because he thinks he's talking to the engineer. He doesn't know he's talking to a cop. And you can come out and be the hero, and instead you shit the bed, and you risk probably 20 to 30 people's lives on that subway, not just mine. Just protect yourself.
Could have been even crazier.
Yeah, like I don't understand that. And again, I'm not puffing out my chest and everything, but it's not like they're auxiliary cops. You know what I'm saying? They went through training. The male cop is not only bigger than me. He had double-digit years experience.
Yeah.
But
I always, given the circumstances and what's going on right now, I think every single cop should take 4 years of MMA or 4 years of jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? So that they can handle these situations.
I mean, any kind of martial arts training, and like you say, jiu-jitsu would be the perfect one.
Right.
But also obviously, I guess the point is no matter how much training you have, if you're a coward, you're a coward. And
that's the other thing.
And if you think about it, a lot of people that are cowards get not, I guess, the equivalent of beer muscles when they have a gun. And this guy had a gun, and he had a nightstick, and he had the element of surprise, and he still chickened out. So in his case, I don't think any sort of martial art discipline would have helped him.
They need meditation too, though, eh? Some of these cops.
Well, I think that's what this guy might have been doing.
Yeah, he was praying. I don't know if he was meditating, but he was praying.
I think I'm outside fighting with this guy with the knife, and he's looking for the quarter that he dropped. I don't know what happened.
Together, you guys put a number on him.
Did you talk to him at all? Did you give him shit?
Well, here's the thing. So,
like, I would have at least tried to bleed in his mouth.
Well, but here, let me put a spin on this now. Because everything happened so fast, there's really no concept of time. Okay. Mm-hmm. So while I knew they didn't come out right away, I still wasn't 100% sure. I'm in the hospital for a day and a half. This happened on Saturday morning. They let me out, believe it or not, on Sunday afternoon. I don't think I was in any condition to be released from the hospital, but they did anyway. And starting Monday morning, I'm doing interviews on TV. And so I'm doing interviews, and I'm not saying this like, hey, I'm a great guy, but I just like to deflect praise, So I'm there saying, well, police are heroes and firemen are heroes and the first response, like all that stuff.
You're saying all that. Yeah.
I have like I said, my sister's a cop. I have a couple of cousins on my wife's side that are cops, and I really respect the job they do because I know they take their job seriously. And like my thing is, if you're a cop who takes your job seriously and you're going out there every day knowing that there's a chance you're not going to come home, well, I respect that. So, so I'm just like, I'm not a hero. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm out of work maybe 4 or 5 weeks, and a guy that was on the grand jury actually came up to my job, and he told me about my testimony. Like, he's like, oh, your testimony was unbelievable. We were going to indict Gelman no matter what. But you should know that after you testified, Terrence Howell, who was the male cop, testified. And he basically testified that while he was watching the fight, he started to come out, but he thought Gelman had a gun, so he closed the door and stayed inside. So I'm going,
chicken shit.
So I'm going, wait, he admitted this? And he's like, yeah. And the funny part was the guy says, like, when he said that, all the grand jurors were like this, like looking at each other.
Oh, shit.
Are you kidding me? And they're all New York City residents, so they're all New York City taxpayers. So
New York City taxpayers, and they all lived it in real time.
Yeah. So he said when Howell was done testifying, they kind of all got up and surrounded the ADA and said, "Can we press charges against this guy? He obviously didn't do his job." And the ADA is like, "No, that's not why you're here," and blah blah blah. But when he told me that, then I knew, like, any questions that I had, I knew for sure that they fucking dropped the ball and hung me out to dry. So that's why nothing happened between them.
Did you end up suing them?
Oh yeah, I mean that day. So that day.
What do you think you got that sweet headset, Mike?
Exactly right. Nice, right? So
he's got left.
It's pretty sweet, right? So that's why there's a humming on my show, I guess. But no. So what happened was that day, I basically say it's like getting attacked all over again, because now I'm still living in Philly. Now I'm not going to tell that to my wife on the phone. So now I got to go the 2.5-hour trip on the way home. And I got to, and I talk to, the first thing I do when I leave work is call my wife, call my kids. So while I'm talking to them with this knowledge in my head, I got to make sure I don't say anything. So then when I get home, I tell them, and that was it. We kind of decided, well, we have to do something. And so I contacted a lawyer up here on the island, and I'm thinking, slam dunk. Like, how could it not be, right?
Of course.
Well, when I met him, he goes, look, I'll take your case and we'll do this, and I'll do what I can. He goes, I just want you to know that I don't know how far we're going to get. And I'm like, what? Like, what do you know? You know, you're only a lawyer. But basically, he said what they're going to do is they're going to try to dismiss the case because they're going to say that the police had no special relationship to protect you. And I'm like everyone else going, wait, isn't that their job?
To serve and protect, right?
Right, exactly. So he goes, you know, here's the example.
Technically.
Here's the example he gave me. If I would have known who Gelman was, and I would have knocked on the door because I saw the cops go in there and knocked on the door and had a conversation with them saying, by the way, the guy you're looking for is there, and they would have answered me, now we have a special relationship. It's fucking stupid, but you know, that's how they weasel out of it. And what ended up happening was we took them to court, and my lawyer actually at one point recused himself because he called me and he said, look, I can't, there's no way I can't, myself and my colleagues, we thought there's no way that I can win this case for you. So I actually ended up taking it on myself. I did it myself. I was ready to go. I was fraud. I knew I didn't have a chance, but I wanted at least my day in court. And, you know, I put together my case, you know, like they're lawyers. That's what they do for a living. So they're preparing their case when they go to work. I'm preparing my case before I go to work, when I get home from work, on my day.
Hey, I just had a court battle with the water company. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. It's similar, right? So so I put together this thing, and I think it was pretty good. Even the judge said it was pretty good, but she might have just been blowing smoke up my ass before she raped me. But so I put this thing together, and I thought I made a good case, because in my head, all I'm thinking is, all I need is to just put a little doubt in her mind, and then we can go to trial. And if we go to trial, I know I'm going to crucify them. I know it, because I don't need
to. Or at least you can cause a little bit of a media circus, and maybe they just give you some hush money.
Exactly. But I honestly think if we were going to go to court, they definitely would have settled out of court, because they wouldn't have wanted me to speak on this to the media or anything like that. I had already done enough of that, and now they wouldn't have wanted it on a bigger platform. But one day I'm at work, and I get a call from my lawyer, and he's like, did you hear that your case was dismissed? And I said, no, I didn't hear it. And why did they call you? Like, I wasn't mad at him. I was just curious why they called him. And he goes, no, it wasn't the court that called me. It was the Post, the New York Post. So he goes, Joe, they'll probably send you something in the mail to let you know. But if you go on this website, you can see it. And they dismissed the case because they said police do not owe a duty to protect. And by the way, while you're still there in stunned silence, what she also said was that my recollection of events was highly credible and believable. So basically what she said is, I believe everything you're saying, but because we're corrupt, I can't go forward with this.
I swear this is the first time where I'm like, maybe defund the police.
It's really, it's just really incredible. And I will say this about the police.
What's incredible to me is, you know, not only your personal injuries aside, and this guy's lack of a fucking backbone and, you know, inability to do his job, you stopped the guy who was slashing people. I mean, you probably saved somebody else's life. Like, isn't there something that you're entitled to because of that? Like, to me, there should just be a flat out $1 million fucking payout that comes out of the New York City's tax roll because you did that. You know what I mean? Like, never mind negligence. Like, fucking, why don't you get something?
Well, smarter people than I have basically told me, if Bloomberg wasn't the mayor, and if the shitball that's in right now is the mayor, they would have just opened the bank vault for me. But Bloomberg wasn't going to do it, and
God, Bloomberg spent $500 million running for president. He could have fucking broke you off a little chick.
Yeah, no, I know, and but you guys should know that an award was given for bravery that day. It just was given to the officer on the train and not me.
Oh.
They gave him an award for bravery. Yeah, and I found that out. I found that out by accident because every now and then, if I'm on the computer, I kind of just like Google the cops' names and the judge's name just to see if anything comes up. And one day I just happened to Google Terrence Howell, and it was like a Facebook post from the police page. And it was just like, oh, Terrence Howell was cited for bravery in apprehending Maxim Gelman. And I'm just going, it's the gift that keeps on giving. Like, it just never goes away.
Oh, he's got to be clowned for that.
Somebody probably pulled him aside and was like, hey, man, like, you got to start acting as if you fucking did something so you don't get sued. Like, that grand jury testimony you just dropped, it's like a dagger. So start acting accordingly.
I've pretty much, since the day that I found out that he punked out, I've pretty much gone full Chael Sonnen on him, like challenging this and challenging that, like when Chael Sonnen challenged Anderson Silva all those times. I basically did that, and I'm sure he was told not to say a damn thing. But from what I've been told, he plays the role. Like, he definitely plays the role like he's this big shot and a hero. So he's convinced himself that he did something. And
Terrence Howard.
The whole thing is,
you don't get any money. You're married, so you don't get any Subway slasher stopper pussy. I mean, what is the fucking what a wreck this is?
I mean, and here's the other thing. Like luckily my wife is really good about things, so I'm good with that. But
she give you a hall pass?
No, and I don't want one.
It better be a fucking Islanders fan.
I am. No, but you want to hear something funny? She's had to talk with my sons that they are not allowed to marry Rangers fans. Swear to God. But here's the other thing. Like, if you want to talk about layers of corruption, so not only did they give credit to these two morons that were on the train, they also give credit to a third cop who was off duty that day, but apparently helped and
also off duty.
But by the way, never saw the guy, wasn't on the train. When I saw his picture in the paper, I go, that fucking guy wasn't on
Who the fuck is this guy?
I'm like, he wasn't on the train at all.
He's just looking for a credit.
So I go, they must have owed this guy something, because that motherfucker wasn't on the train that day, but yet he's getting credit for it. And the guy who actually helped me, this Alfred Douglas, nobody, and they interviewed him for hours. The police interviewed him for hours. When the police talk about what happened that day, they never mentioned me. They never mentioned him. They just mentioned.
They never mentioned you guys. Oh,
no, and all I am is just the strap hanger, the victim. Never mentioned me at all. And it's funny when I go back and I watch like their account, like even on Good Morning America, that was the first show I did, and they showed this video recreation. And while I'm sitting there and I'm watching, I'm going, well, that's not how it happened. But they got the information from the police, and it's a total fabrication.
We should do another podcast called Flight Stories, and we can have Terrence on.
Oh, God, or shit your pants stories. Well, actually, Tyler, you just did what, Kelly Taylor's show.
Yeah.
He doesn't, at the end of his show, he has the shit your pants thing.
Yes.
So they should have Terrence Howell on it, because that's a perfect story about shitting your pants. So, you know.
Cool.
Yeah, so I mean that's a story. I almost got murdered, and then they screwed me in court. And here's the thing. I've had a lot, like, talk about the money and everything like that. I've had a lot of people.
I got another question, but go ahead.
A lot of really nice things for me and my family since it happened.
Well, that's nice.
I mean, really, like, above and beyond. Like, I mean, even, you know, I met Dana White. I mean, Dana White was just amazing to us. Like, you know, the Islanders, the Flyers.
Oh, cool.
Like, everybody, there's a ton of people who did a lot of nice things for us.
Right.
And obviously the first thing that, like, you know, like you said, you think of is going to court and getting money and everything like that. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and say if they offered me money that I wouldn't take it. Of course I would. I got a kid in college now. I got another one on the way. But all I wanted was my day in court. And even if I went to court and lost, I could live with that. You know what I'm saying? I could live with that because then at least the system kind of worked. But now,
yeah, at least there was like a little check and balance. You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Because
He doesn't get this like declarated horse shit.
yeah, you know, but the fact that everybody knows, everybody with a brain knows what happened. Everybody knows the story, and I mean, people know. Like no one ever. There's like 5 people on the planet who think that these 2 idiots did something.
Yeah.
But if I got my day in court and I had a chance to go, like I was fired up. Like you know, you guys talk to fighters all the time, and what
I'd be furious. I would be fucking furious.
But here's the thing. So you guys talk to these guys all the time, and what do they say? Oh, I had this fight coming up 3 months from now. I thought about the fight every day. So before I even stepped into the ring, before I even stepped into the cage, I had that fight 1,000 times in my head. I had the court procedure done in my head 1,000 times. I played it through every single way it could have played through. Mm-hmm. So I would have walked in the court. You know that gif of Vince McMahon when he's walking out, like all strutting like this? I would have walked into the court like that because I know there's no way I could have lost that. Because like Judge Judy says, if you tell the truth, you don't need a good memory. All I was going to do was go in there and tell the truth and put these 2 assholes on the spot. And I could just walk out of there and say, okay, next.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But,
That's wild, man.
Well, it's a hell of for a guy with 1 fighter under his belt. It's a hell of a fight.
Well, it's funny because when you messaged me, I'm like, Jesus, I listen to the show. I hear some of the guys you have on, and I can't hold a candle to these guys. Like,
yeah. No,
I'm
dude.
like, fuck,
A lot of these guys don't get the front of the Daily.
No, I didn't get the front of the Daily News. I did get the front of the Philadelphia Daily News. You want to?
Oh, cool.
That's a pretty good story. So since you live in Jersey, you know all about Wawa. So
yeah,
when we lived in Philadelphia, my daily routine was to get up, go to Wawa, get my coffee, get my sizzly, get my Philadelphia Daily News, and get my New York Post. Right? Those are fucking awesome. You know it, right? You're laughing because they're great. Yeah. Am I right?
Mostly the name, but go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So the day that I'm on the front page of the paper, I go to Wawa. So now I'm on the front page of the paper. So the people, it's my local Wawa, so they all know me, and they see me on the front page of the paper. So they're talking with me for a few minutes, and the people are kind of like doing that, right? And everyone was cool. So I go home, and the guy from the Philadelphia Daily News said, there's a chance you'll be on the front of the paper Friday. I said, okay, no problem. So this Friday I go home on the front of the paper. So I go home, and my wife hadn't woken up yet. So I'm eating my breakfast. She comes down, and I go, hey, look at the paper. So she goes, oh my God, how many did you get? I go, 1. She goes, how could you just get 1? I go, how many papers do I buy every day? She goes, how many times you're on the front page? I go, no, I know, but it's just like I grab 1 paper and that's it. So then, of course, she ran out and bought like enough for the family and everything. Like that. Cool. But I'm just like, no, I just bought 1. Like that's how I always viewed it. I'm like, all right, it's cool. And
the thing. Well, I mean, I have 2 thoughts, but I mean, one of them is, and you're also still alive, right? Like, so there's something to be grateful for. But your hospital bills, who covered that?
They must have covered it because I never got one.
Oh, thank fucking God.
Yeah.
Dude,
oh, yeah. I never got one. And it's almost a surprise they'd even bill me because I was barely in there a day.
Right.
But I will say that
a day is fucking
a
10
day.
G's.
Like I got there, I know, but it's just based. I mean, I'm going in there with 7 stab wounds, and I'm in there for a day and a half.
Right.
Everyone at the hospital was awesome. So I'm not saying anything
That's
about.
Cool. No, I'm not.
No, but I'm saying it just goes to show it probably has something to do with insurance, which is why they rushed me out of there a day and a half later.
Oh, for sure, dude.
But the medical personnel were fantastic. But
really, you've been a delight, Joe. But can you hurry this along a little bit, please? You got another person coming in this.
Well, it was funny. I remember having a conversation with, I don't know if he was a nurse or whatever he was, and he was from Texas. And I go, fuck, I wish we were in Texas right now because the guy that stabbed me would already be dead. He would have got the death penalty already like 10 minutes later.
Oh, yeah.
As it is now, he's just
Texas gets some stuff right.
Yeah, exactly. So instead, I get to have the guy who tried to kill me get 3 hots in a cot at the upstate jail on my tax dollars. And by the way, the 2 cops, my tax dollars go to pay them too. So it's like I get fucked over 3 more times every week. I get paid.
Yeah. So is that guy still in jail?
Yeah,
Oh
actually,
yeah, he killed 4 people. Of course he's still in
he
jail.
he got 50 years for each murder and 25 years for attempted murder on me. So he got
Fuck.
225. And actually, my sister every now and then finds out, like what his status is, because we're both fingers crossed, hoping one day he has an accident.
Yeah.
But he actually just got moved to a different prison. It's all upstate New York, but I don't know why they move him. Maybe because he's a douchebag and they have enough of him and they just move him to another one. But
Sure.
I'm waiting for the day I find out he's dead so I can go piss on his grave.
Yeah. I feel the same way about my mom's dad.
Would you ever go and like have a conversation with him and call him some names from behind the glass?
I know. I was thinking the same thing.
Well, I actually
great cowards think alike.
I actually was able to confront him in court when.
Oh yeah,
I was able to. They call it a victim impact statement.
yes.
Yeah. What happened was he was sentenced first in Brooklyn, and that was in the newspaper, and that was for all of the murders, everything except me, and it was in the paper. Like, he was such an asshole, like chirping at all the people's families of the people that he killed and stuff like that. Just a cocksucker, right? So I'm going, okay, he's not going to do that to me. Fuck no, right? So I prepared this whole thing, and him and I went back and forth a little bit, and it got to the point where, we exchanged words, and it got to the point where I started feeling my adrenaline kind of getting the better of me. So I just had to stop, and I was like, I can't do that. I finished everything I had to say. I could have ad-libbed a little bit, but I was like, my adrenaline started. I'm not, and there's 4 court officers by him, and then this monster by me trying to, like he was going to grab me or they were going to grab him. But, a lot of people have asked me that, would you ever go, like you see these TV shows all the time where the victim goes and sees the criminal, and then at the end they're hugging and they go, oh, I hope he gets the help he needs and I forgive him and all this shit. And I go, what the fuck is wrong with you? I would do it if a network wanted to commute me up to where he is and do some sort of television show, no problem. But that I'm going to get paid for. I never got paid for any interview I've ever done. I never asked to get paid. But if you're going to profit off me talking to this asshole who tried to kill me, then you have to pony up some dough.
Fight Stories got us $140.
Is that US or Canadian?
And the ticket.
Yeah, no, like I said, and I'll tell you, that day that him and I had words in the court, it actually felt pretty good.
Yeah.
Not as good as if I could have, put my fingers
fucking wrang his neck off, stick his goddamn thumb through his eye.
Yeah, but it was pretty good. It felt good. And like my mom and my wife and all my family wanted to go, and I said no, don't go. I don't know how this is going to be, and you never know how family's going to react when the person that tried to kill their family members there. So
right, exactly.
So it was my boss went, and my coworker went, and they're not just my boss, my coworker, they're friends. They went, and but yeah, I felt pretty good. But I would do it again in a heartbeat. He doesn't scare me at all. I mean, I took his best shot. I'm still here. So if I'm gonna talk to him in a jail cell in a controlled environment, no fucking problem. But if a network wanted to do that, I'd need to get paid.
Oh yeah, dude. We need a ring fight. That's what we need.
Oh yeah.
Well, how about we do it differently this time? How about I get 45 seconds with a knife and he gets nothing?
Yeah. That'll
that.
be like when Tosh.0 does the do-over, a Fight Stories do-over.
I know who Tosh.0 is, but I've never watched. I'm older than you guys, so I've never watched.
Yeah.
That's probably more my kids' age stuff. But no.
Yeah. Well, what can I say? Your kids have good taste.
Well, I don't know if they watch it. I'm saying it's more their age group. They're going to be, by the end of September, they're going to be 20 and 17. I don't think they actually watch TV. I think all they watch is YouTube.
Yeah. Honestly, Tosh.0 is probably too old for them. They're probably watching something else.
Maybe. No, I pray for the day that he dies. I wish I could be the one that does it. Like I said, you see all these people that go, "Oh, I forgive you," and I'll give you a job at this thing. And it's like, where the fuck are you coming from? Like, the only
way you do something like that is so you can plan a meticulous revenge, like when his guard is totally down, and then you kill his baby.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Well, it's funny because there were 2 documentaries done. One was a series that was aired here in the U.S., which I won't say it because I don't want to give it any publicity, but it was total bullshit. It was kind of like a police infomercial. It was just total horseshit.
Yeah.
And then there was a documentary done by a production company in England that usually sells their series to Discovery ID. It never aired in this country, but I obviously have a copy of it. And I never knew this, but apparently when he was a young teen, I think his first sexual encounter led him to have like warts on his dick forever and stuff. So yeah, so that might have led to him being a little crazy, but yeah. So hopefully at one day it just rots his fucking there. So
that's a great weekend of stand-up comedy. You don't quit comedy.
Hey, let me ask you guys. Can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
With the way the world is now, how is it for you guys doing stand-up comedy where everybody is offended by everything? And I know that's what you guys do for a living. And I know I heard Tyler, like I said, I heard Tyler on Kelly Taylor's show. It doesn't sound like he gives a fuck. And John, if you're friends with Zenhauser, I'm sure you don't give a fuck. But it has to be hard for you guys now to do gigs because everyone's offended by everybody.
A lot better than warts on your dick.
But like I know guys, like I don't know if you guys know Pat Dixon. Like I
know Dixon.
So I'm good friends with him, and I've said it to him once. Like I don't think I can do what you guys do. Like everyone, the guys who do what your job and make it look easy means you're just really good at it. But if you're really good at it and you make it look easy, it's not easy. Like I couldn't imagine I couldn't do what you guys do. I give you guys all the credit in the world.
Hey, it's good work when you can find it.
Yeah, especially nowadays where everyone gets offended by everything. Like, how hard is it for you guys to do your job?
Well, we're the real heroes, right?
Exactly.
No, man, it's what? You just can't give a fuck, really. It's like what are they gonna fucking do?
Well, I don't even mean like that. I just mean like booking gigs and stuff like that. Like, is it hard with the way things are nowadays?
Sometimes you get a little bit of blowback. You know what? I think it's tough with edgier comedy when like navigating through the industry because the industry are followers and they go wherever the wind blows. So if it's like super PC, they're going to be more PC than normal. They play definitely in Canada. They play that.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, wasn't there? I think he's a guy from Quebec he went to jail or something like that. I forget his name.
He got sued in like a human rights tribunal.
Yes.
For jokes about a kid,
Make-A-Wish or something.
He's like a teenage. Yeah, he's like a teenage boy who had like a facial disformity. Or like disfigure. It was like a
he had pudding head.
But I heard about that. Like he had a rough go for a few years, right? Like
Mike Ward is his name.
Yeah, I mean, listen, listen. It is definitely things are definitely sort of tightening up in that regard, but there are people who break the rules all the time.
Well, I just if you guys ever do stuff around here, because I love stand-up comedy. I like aggressive stand-up comedy, and I like offensive stand-up comedy. So I'd love to see you guys around here.
Yeah, right on, Joey. We'll let you know, man.
Yeah.
Funny you should say that. I've got a Zoom show coming up in a week. No,
no, I want to go out. I want to have the 2-drink minimum.
Yeah,
I want to go out with my wife and have a good time. So.
Well, Joe, I wanted to launch into your podcast, but we've been on the burn for an hour, so maybe we can get you back on and talk, and you guys can talk shop because Tyler is also a hockey fight encyclopedia. So
yeah, for sure.
Right on.
If you're bored and have nothing to talk about, have me back on anytime.
Dude, we filled up that hour rather nicely with your one incident. It was pretty cool.
Our listeners can check you out. Coliseum Chronicles podcast. That's the one, right?
Yeah, on Twitter it's at Colisinbin Pod because I couldn't spell out the whole thing. So Colisinbin Pod on Twitter, and you can listen to the show on all forms, all platforms.
Nice. You have a bunch of Islanders enforcers and
latest episode was with Eric Bolton. I've had guys like Mick Fakota, Richie Pilon, Dean Ewan, Paul Cruz, Mike McWilliam. I got a 2-parter coming up with Brian Curran. So I've been pretty fortunate. The guys are awesome.
Cool. Wicked, man.
Thanks, man.
All right, Joe. Thanks so much for coming on, dude.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Brother.
All right. Bye now.
Later, dude.